Has building a pool at your home always been a dream for your family? Well, the Dalkes just finished a pool project at our own home, and we're going to share all the ins and outs of our experience with you today.
Welcome to Married in Real Estate. I'm Matthew Dalke.
And I'm Karen Dalke. We have a top-performing real estate team south of Atlanta. Building a pool was something I had never done. In fact, I've never even had a house with a pool, so this was quite an experience.
Well, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and it's too hot to not have a pool. We grew up with pools, and I've always wanted my own, but I've never been through the process of actually building a pool, so this was a first for me as well. We're going to share our step-by-step process and how we can help you in building your own pool if it's something you've thought about doing.
With us being realtors, that must mean this is good for resale value, right, Matthew?
That's right. We're going to explain all the aspects, including the resale value, so come with us and let's dive in.
I see what you did there. We've broken this up into a few sections for you: the before process, everything leading up to the build, the actual build, and then after, all the things we learned and the mistakes we made, and maybe that's going to help you out. So the pool builder and the landscape company just finished up yesterday, so this is kind of our sneak peek of the project as it's just finished.
Yes. We're super happy with our pool builder decision, and we actually used Flynn Whitehurst with Malibu Pools. He actually is here now. Hey, Flynn, come on over.
Come on over.
How are you, buddy?
How are you? How are you?
Hey,
doing?
Flynn.
How are you?
This is Flynn Whitehurst, Malibu Pools, who built this absolutely beautiful pool of ours, and I think you were coming to check on it because it's officially done.
It's done, right?
So Flynn, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
I worked for a pool company in high school, and when I went to art school, I figured out that I didn't want to be indoors, and I thought, hey, I could start my own pool company.
This has been such a quick experience for us, unlike a lot of the horror stories we've heard. So we're so thankful for Flynn, and we of course would recommend him to anyone.
That's great, thanks.
One reason we selected him is he is really good with these small spaces and courtyards. He does a lot of stuff in Serenbe and Shuelith, and of course a lot of big projects as well.
Flynn has been building pools for a long time, and so we really liked his ideas and his pricing, and it just all came together.
Now, before you start to build, you really want to look at your space, try to figure out what kind of shape you like, what kind of shape fits in that space, and also even think about where you want certain aspects of your hardscape. You definitely want to look at where the sun hits, where there's shade, and also where you're going to have your entertaining, and make sure it's in that space.
In looking at the way our lot is laid out, we didn't know if we wanted it in the courtyard or in the backyard. Some of our neighbors are getting ready to put in a pool, and they're going to do it in the backyard, which works for their family.
And it feels like it's just part of our living space, and we see it every single day when we walk in to and from work.
That's right. It was also really helpful for us to look at a lot of photos beforehand and kind of look at our space and see what shape and what we thought would work. And that helped in giving Flynn a couple pictures of kind of what we had in our mind. I think that really helped us get the result that we did.
And you have to make sure before the process starts, permitting we'll talk about. And guess what? If you're in an HOA, you have to get approval.
You're going to want to make sure you also consider any easements, any floodplains, sewer lines, all those things. And your pool builder can help with that. And of course, the city and the county will be able to help with those too.
So those are the things we considered before even starting to interview and talk with builders.
That leads us to step 2, which is talking to at least, we would recommend, 3 pool builders.
Don't always look at price because it's not always apples to apples when the quotes come in.
Well, of course, price is important though, but you want to make sure when you're looking at multiple quotes that you're comparing and looking at what is included for that specific pool builder. For example, is the hot tub included in that price? Does that include something like fence removal?
Does that include dirt haul away? Is the gas line and or electric included?
So when you're comparing those quotes, make sure you're looking at all the same things. In our build, for example, we had to take down our whole fence, put up a whole new fence, but it was included in one quote, was not included in another quote, so that was something to take into consideration. We had a little bit of a surprise, not really on the pool builder, we just kind of switched things up and then our numbers were off on the hardscape.
And we didn't account for artificial grass as well, which is very expensive.
We had a little add-on with some artificial turf and maybe a putting green that was not in the original quote.
Putting green.
I don't know who wanted that.
We don't have a putting green, there's just grass over there. So the lesson here is make sure you're really looking at every single detail. Are they really apples to apples?
Another thing to consider in the planning phase is whether the builder is going to charge you for the design. In our case, we had a couple of photos that we really liked and we were able to show Flynn. There wasn't really a design fee. However, I know some of the builders, particularly if you don't have something in mind, they're going to have to draw up some ideas for you and there is a charge for that, or there can be a charge for that. One of the important things you're going to want to ask your pool builder is what sort of system they use. We opted for a a saltwater system, but I know a lot of the pool builders now are doing a UV light chlorine type system. There's also traditional chlorine and
ozone,
what's the third one?
Yeah.
Ozone.
Yep.
So there's multiple types of systems. You're going to want to ask them what their preference is and what your quote includes.
Another thing is, are you doing a sand versus cartridge filters? And kind of Google the difference as well.
You're going to want to ask your pool builder what your allowance is for the hardscape, which is your tile and pavers, what your allowance is for the water line tile, what is your allowance for each step of the process, so that when you're looking and making choices, you're not going to go way off the grid and end up with a bunch of additional charges.
Just like if you're building a house, that builder usually has a price per square foot they'll give you for flooring, tile. So similar for a pool builder, think of it like that.
It's really important also that you ask your pool builder about their warranty after the pool is built. How long does that go and what does it include? And one of the last things we'll mention, and this was really a big one, ask your builder, where do you go to make the selections? There's a lot of selections in the process, just like building a house.
Yes.
And you really want to make sure you're getting those selections done quickly and before the process starts. Where are you going to go to do that?
Speaking of making your selections, the next thing we're going to talk about is the design process. So the next step is making sure you figure out the shape for the space. Do you want a hot tub? Because that's definitely going to add some price to it. Do you want a tanning lead? Do you want bubblers? Do you want an umbrella holder? Because those can kind of be hard to put in after the fact.
And crazy enough, you really have to plan ahead. Where's the umbrella holder going to go? Where's the sun going to be hitting? Just stick a hole in the ground. You can't just stick a hole in the ground, apparently. And you can go crazy with additional features. While we decided to keep ours pretty streamlined and we've got a couple bubblers, there are fire bowls, there are shooting spouts of water. There's upgraded lighting, which this one decided we needed, so we can have
LED colored lighting.
Red and green for Christmas or whatever. I mean, it's really endless. You can have waterfalls. You can have an infinity edge. There's so many things that you just would not believe are available to put in a pool.
And there's even an autofill, so you never have to go grab that hose, fill it up, and worry about that whole process.
The next part, which is really supposed to be the fun part, is making all the selections. What color tile do you want? What color interior finish do you want? What is your surround going to look like? Our pool builder had us go to NPT, National Pool and Tile, up in Gwinnett and make our selections there. Went up there for what we thought was going to be like an hour to pick all of our stuff out. We ended up going multiple times, because if you have this color tile for the spa, you need to make sure you have this color for the interior. It just is like a domino effect.
And how many interior colors are there? Like, holy cow.
If you want a light green pool, or if you want a black pool, or if you want a medium blue pool, or if you've been to Cancun and you want the pool to look the same color as the water.
The Puerto Rican blend with the jewels.
Do you want crystals in your pool finish? It is just endless. We opted for a quartzscape, which is more of a smooth plaster in the dark blue color of St. Martin shade. Then we had our glass tiles to kind of match and blend in.
What about the grout? You forgot to talk about the grout.
Grout is a dirty word in our house right now.
So is
because coping is also a dirty word in our house right now. But we prevailed. Everything looks great. We did have to go choose our water line tile, which is that tile that sits just above the water. We went with a dark blue glass tile, which was a little bit of an upgrade, but it's not a big space, so that's okay. They were able to match the grout to the interior of the pool perfectly. So it is a finish we're really happy with.
And the second dirty word that she's talking about that actually caused a fight, and we never fight, and we work together all day and we never fight, is coping. Holy cow. This stuff, I don't want to see it again. The next step in the process is the phases and the order.
First, before anything begins, before they can move any dirt, the permits are going to need to be pulled, and your pool builder is going to help with all of that.
So once you've been permitted, I think probably one of the most exciting parts of the process is the dig. Watching them dig the hole for your pool. It's pretty cool.
Or like us, we came home from work and there was a giant hole in the ground, and I said, looks like we're getting a pool.
Yes, it's too late to turn back.
It's too late.
Yeah. Then all the PVC piping goes in for all of your filtration, your plumbing, all of that stuff. Within a week, they had that done?
It was very quick.
Yep. And then next, of course, to protect all the piping, they put in rebar everywhere. Rebar goes all around the pool, and then even it's under the coping and it's connected in for if you have a lightning storm. So it's pretty neat. Then we had a inspection at that point. And then they connected all the pipes together. They added all the pool equipment, connected all of that. At that point, we were kind of getting close. So from there, the second probably most most exciting day of the pool was when they came to spray the gunite. Like, it was like watching artisans do this. It was just insane. That is the concrete that they spray around the pool before they put in the plaster that you pick, whether that's a quartzscape or a pebble finish. They have to put that in first. They even build the stairs with the concrete. It's fascinating. Then we had the tile around the pool. And then our favorite word again, coping. So that happened next. We'll tell you about the snafu, and that had to be removed and reinstalled. And then after that, our most exciting day, I think for me anyways, was the plaster. When they came to spray it and you got to see the color and it really took life. But once the plaster was done, it has to be filled up fast. We did not know how fast. And actually the plaster folks put all the fittings in before they did the fill. So I didn't know who handled that, but the plaster folks did that. Because sometimes they come in white, the white rings, and you may not want white, you might want silver or black. So those are also things to think about. And after that's all done, you get to fill up your pool and go swimming.
You mentioned filling up the pool. We had a little drama with our fill up because once the plaster was in, we had to, like you said, start filling it up immediately. It was the night before Thanksgiving. We started filling it up and we're watching the timer and we're thinking this is gonna need to be shut off right about the time we're eating Thanksgiving dinner in Atlanta. So this was a little bit of a timing issue. So we had a friend help us out with that, but just be aware that your finish may require that you have eyes on it the whole time. So we have this whole 3-month project and then this all comes down to like this 2-hour period while we're eating Thanksgiving. It was a little bit of drama.
With these finishes, you cannot stop because the line will stay in there and will forever be.
I know our parents were like,
can't you just take the hose out for a couple hours during Thanksgiving dinner?
no, you cannot. You don't want a line.
No line.
Very specific. And we have a little pro tip as far as filling the pool, right?
We do, yes. Make sure you check in with your county. For us, we're in Fayette County, and they actually do not charge you near as much for filling it up. We're talking about a lot of water, right? Your water bill could be $500, $600, $700 that month. But what you have to do is you have to let them know the day you filled up, and they will give you a credit for the sewer portion. So you end up paying a lot less to fill up your pool.
Also, just to let you know, it 100% will rain at some point during a terribly, terribly inconvenient time during the process. It happens to everybody. We are in Georgia. The Georgia clay didn't help. It was wet and rainy and the pool was filling up. And one of us went to Home Depot and rented a pump to pump the pool out, which the pool builder found really funny because they actually, they are prepared for all this. They know it happens. It's okay. We still finished our pool in 3 months.
Speaking of, that brings us to the next step of the process, surprises along the way.
Aside from the rain and things that were out of our control, we also discovered during the build that our main sewer line from our house ran straight through our courtyard. We're talking about a pipe that's this big that carries the waste out of our home running through the center of our pool. So when they came to dig, surprise, right?
Yeah.
So that was not inexpensive to move.
And real quick, shout out to Action Plumbing. They hooked us up on that. Thank
did a
you.
great job.
They did an awesome job.
Apparently our waste is flowing just fine, so thank you, Action Plumbing. Where's our gas line located?
On the opposite side of the house.
Total opposite side of the house. Again, not inexpensive to run a new gas line, so we had to have
thousands of dollars.
thousands of dollars, yes. Another surprise was that we kind of thought maybe we were going to reuse our fence to save a little money there. It just was not the case. We ended up moving the fence and all sorts of stuff, so we just put up a whole new fence.
When we used the company Georgia Select Fence, they did a great job. They were here quickly. It was about $3,000. So again, things to think about. You know, every little thing adds up in costs.
It does.
You can see it's beautiful and flat. It was not always like that. It sloped down. So for us to be able to really use this space, we had to have a retaining wall built that was, I think, around $6,500.
Another surprise was over the 3-month period. I was really surprised how much our yard was torn up in areas that were not really related to the pool, where they had to dig for the gas line all the way around the house. And then in the front, of course, you've got rain, you've got weather, and
tractors, equipment.
We had to resod the whole front right side of the house, so that was an additional cost. Next on the list is what I like to call all the things.
Your favorite word?
My favorite word, because it's not really just about the pool. It's not really just about about that space that has the water in it. There's the hardscape, of course, that we mentioned. Karen wants it to look pretty, so we've got to have chairs. We have chase lounges. We have, of course, landscaping and potted plants, cushions, umbrellas,
Fire pits.
pool towels. The list goes on. You want it to look pretty after it's in, so make sure you're budgeting for those things along with it.
One thing we actually spent like nights and nights obsessing about: pool furniture. Teak and polywood, I feel like they hold up for a very long time. You spend a little more money, but you're gonna have them over a long period of time versus other products. Now that you've gone through all of that process, the last part is lessons learned.
Looking back, we passed up on the hardscape, the tile that we really wanted on the pool surround, because when we started, there was a 6 to 8 week wait for that particular tile. And looking back, like, we had plenty of time. We had plenty of time had we just ordered it right off the bat, went with something else that was similar, which turned out beautiful.
We get along so well. We work together every day and 99% of the time, but we had a pretty fun fight over the coping.
The coping, who knew, right? The coping is that part that goes right along the edge, and we knew kind of what we wanted and had photos. We had our pool builder custom make this concrete coping with salt finish. It was beautiful. They installed it, then the tile went in around, and we were happy with it. Looks great. And then what happened? It rained. And when it rained, it turned dark. And the surrounding tile did not also turn dark. So I can't even get into it because we have a little bit of PTSD. When it rained that weekend, we knew that it was just really something that we couldn't live with long term, and with the expense and time that we had put into it, we did talk to our builder and we decided to rip the beautiful coping out. We loved the tile, we loved the coping, we just did not love it together. It was a really, really sad weekend in the Dalke home.
And I will say I love that he showed up real quickly to figure out how we could solve this. The coping comes in different
Heights.
Yeah, it comes in different heights and widths. The pavers we wanted came in a 3/4 inch and the coping was a 2 inch. So they were not going to butt up together because we had concrete we did not want to rip up.
What you're trying to say is you need to know all of these things prior to starting, and we just missed the mark.
Because a lot of these pavers come with a coping as well. So your pool builder needs to know that at the very beginning, because then he can do the gunite taller or shorter to fit the whole project. I really wish we would have picked all that out ahead of time. Another lesson we learned: it's better if you're not a work from home person, which we do not work from home. So that worked out for us because we'd get to go to work, come home, and just see it, right?
Yes.
But if you're a micromanager and you like to really see the process and be around to answer questions, you may want to be home for a lot of it.
With all of that being said, I know you're wondering, how does this affect property value? Fortunately, gone are the days when appraisers would come, see a pool, and just kind of check the box and give you like 20 grand for the pool. Appraisers seem to be taking more notice about the value of what a pool can do for your family lifestyle and for the home. Now, can we sit here and say that if you build a pool today, you are going to get 100% of that value back if you sell next year? Absolutely not. But appraisers are giving more value, and we like the trend that we're seeing for that. But we know the main reason you should put in a pool is really not about property value. It is really if it is going to be wonderful for your family life, and that's why we put ours in.
And we have a lot of clients who've come to us and said, we have to have a house with a pool. We only want a pool. So we're seeing that homes with pools, they sell so easily. So that's another good thing. You're going to get a lot more value for your house with a pool.
There's always going to be someone out there that wants a pool now and not having to wait.
Yes, and we have, I think, have heard a lot of horror stories about how long pools take. We got so lucky with ours.
We did, and you might notice we are filming a video about pools in our coats because it is freezing outside in December.
Yeah.
We purposely decided to build our pool kind of off-season, so we're finishing in December, so when the spring comes, we're going to be ready. Also consider that when you're interviewing your pool builders, they may be able to get to it sooner at certain times of the year or not. Now that the Dalkes have shared our pool adventure with you, you can decide whether you are ready to jump into the deep end and maybe build your own pool.
And if so, we hope this video has helped you learn some lessons that maybe we wish we would have known and help you save some money. Just make your life easier.
And we're always here if you need guidance or tips. Just reach out to us and we can talk you through it. If you want to see more videos about real estate and life south of Atlanta, be sure to subscribe and like.
And comment your pool horror story, or maybe a friend's pool horror story. We'd love to hear.
That will make us feel better about our coping incident.
Yes. And remember, every move counts.